Welcome back to And Just Like Yap. I am Andi.
I'm Caroline.
We're doing a tier list of all of Carrie Bradshaw's love interests. We are including the movies, and we are including And Just Like That in this because we have to. They are canon now.
As they tell us.
So they tell us. S tier is the highest tier, and F tier is the lowest tier. I already feel like there aren't going to be that many S tier.
I'm pretty certain about that as well.
So let's just kick this off. We're going to go chronologically through the series. Season 1, episode 1, starting off strong with Kurt Harrington.
It's funny, before we even get into it, it's like a sea of beige.
I know. All white men.
All white men, all like a lot of them brunette.
A lot of the same late 90s haircuts.
Yeah, the swoop.
Happening. The like adult version of Jonathan Taylor Thomas's haircut. Kurt Harrington, just as a reminder, he was Carrie's on again, off again friends with benefits. What do we think? Where do we want to put Kurt? I feel like D, personally.
Yeah, I was thinking C or below. He's a palate cleanser.
I'm going to put him in a D. Wildly, the next person chronologically is John Mr. Big Preston. This is going to be difficult because Mr. Big pops up a lot, obviously, in the series. None of these are locked in, like we can move these around as we go.
Okay, so thinking season 1, Mr. Big, we have the fart episode where Carrie can't fart in front of Mr. Big and she freaks out, hits her head. Walt introduce her to his mother. So that's like where we end season 1.
Yeah, that is true.
So that makes me feel like we're at a D, I think, for season 1.
When Carrie makes the wild move to go to church anyway and spy on him and his mother has no idea who Carrie even is, and it's very embarrassing. So, yeah, I think D. Maybe we'll move him later if he has better behavior later, but maybe we'll move him down later.
I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll see.
Okay, 20-something Sam was our next guy from season 1. This is Timothy Oliphant, who I think is one of the most attractive men alive, personally.
Agreed.
At nighttime, everything seems like spicy and sexy and fun, and then in the cold, hard light of day in the morning, he lives like a 20-something man in a disgusting apartment with no toilet paper and pizza boxes everywhere.
Haven't we all been there?
Where do we think 20-something Sam goes? I feel like he was really nice to Carrie. I personally feel like C.
And I was going to say, good kisser with a tongue ring. That sort of like, I will say, in your 20s, unfortunately, that will make you overlook a mattress on the floor. A C. Nothing above that. We're not rewarding him above that, but I will give you a, like, passing grade.
Now we have Guy, who is the French architect Carrie is introduced to by her friend, her very good friend, Amelita, who we only ever see once.
Bring her back. Bring her back.
She sleeps with Guy. The next morning, she wakes up and he has left her, like, a thank you note and an envelope of money.
Okay, here's my thought. I think all women should profit from dating, because let's think about all of the things we have to do, the money that we spend. We spend money on makeup, our hair, clothing, showering, if there's waxing. That's at minimum maybe $500. What are men doing in comparison? And that is hours before the actual date has transpired. So if anything, I think it's a reimbursement fee. So for that,
I agree.
I would give that, I'm between a B and an A for getting reimbursed.
Let's give him a B.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right.
Yeah. Let's give Guy a B.
Because you know what? Because the pink tax is very real.
Okay. Season 2. Mr. Big is again a love interest in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is the season where he doesn't say I love you back, and the season where at the end of it he decides that he is going to Paris.
Also, it's the Natasha season, and if you're on chronically online like us, this is the source of the season for all of the viral Carrie memes where she has the whip in her mouth and the beret and the McDonald's bag. So for that sort of desperation that he causes her to have to constantly seek his affection, and then he gets married to someone else, I kind of think we need to move him down to an F, because he also F for France. He goes to France.
Yeah. F for France. Now we have Joe, the new Yankee.
Ugh. Love the new Yankee.
I know. I love the new Yankee as well.
Okay. So here's what I'll say as a rebound as well. Clearly Big felt a certain type of way about it when she runs into him in season 2. And he was hot. Honestly, like, what an excellent rebound. Part of me kind of wants to give it an S. Because, like, what an incredible rebound to, like, not just, like, a random guy in New York. It's the Yankee. The new Yankee. Like, you can't really get better than that.
Joe, the new Yankee, is going to be our first S tier because he was nice, he was handsome, and he was good to show off to Big, who was absolutely gobsmacked that Carrie was hanging out with the new Yankee.
Sorry, Big.
We love. Okay. Ben is next for season 2. He is a political magazine editor. He's got the Tweety Bird tattoo. Yeah. I think this episode is called The Freak Show.
Yes.
And Carrie's trying to find out, like, what's wrong with this guy because he seems perfect. And then it turns out that Carrie's the freak because he walks in on her in his apartment snooping through all of his shit. I thought he was cute. Oh. And he seemed pretty ideal, in my opinion.
Oh, he had potential. He was cute. He was smart. I could see Carrie and him, like, on a Sunday date, both reading the New York Times, doing the crossword puzzle, that kind of vibe. She had to get in her own way, unfortunately.
She did. I'm going to put him in S as well. I think that's the right choice for him. Next for season 2, we have Jeremiah, who is Carrie's old friend. He's a performance artist, and also in the context of Carrie seeing him again, a cater waiter. Carrie's mad at Big because Big has given her the ornate beaded pigeon purse instead of telling her that he loves her. So she ends up hanging out with Jeremiah.
I was thinking C, because I was like, this feels like it's regressing Carrie behavior, and the fact that she's trying to use this man to get something out of Big.
I think putting him with Timothy Oliphant makes sense. Then we have Seth, who Carrie meets at her therapist in the waiting room. Seth is played by none other than Bon Jovi for some reason.
Incredible casting.
Seth, it turns out, seems really great. He and Carrie flirt in the waiting room of the therapist, which is a crazy place to be flirting with someone and trying to pick somebody up.
I feel like I want to give it an F for both of them. You should not be dating anyone you meet in your therapist's office. You should be punished. Jail to both of you.
I would 100% agree with that. We're putting him in F tier jail. Next we have John McFadden, who is Carrie's go-to fuck buddy, played by the same guy who plays Dennis in 30 Rock.
Yeah, my boy.
He's also the guy in the insurance commercials where he's like, I'm a car accident and you're going to be sorry that you ran into me. Get Allstate.
I kind of feel like, a D for a dud.
Yeah. Next we have, this one's hard for me because this is controversial for me because Vaughn Weasel, fellow writer, a short story writer, played by Justin Theroux, this is Justin Theroux's second appearance on the show and the second character that he's playing on the show. Carrie falls in love with his family, but Vaughn has a premature ejaculation problem, which isn't even really the problem. The problem is he will not talk about it. So how are you feeling about where we should tier Vaughn?
Okay, here's what's hard with him is, like, his family is so good. Come on, Valerie. I know. From Mary Tyler Moore.
I know, Valerie Harper. Oh, this is hard because I'm extremely sexually attracted to Justin Theroux, but I feel like I want to give him a D because...
As much as we love his family, we are not putting the family on our list. It is Justin Theroux. So for those reasons, I think we have to do D.
Sorry, Vaughn. Your junk didn't work, but that wasn't even the problem. It's because your mouth didn't work and your mind...
Head, shoulders, dicks and toes,
Patrick Casey, who is a recovering alcoholic and movie composer who literally runs into Carrie on the street, accidentally burning her arm with a cigarette. They have this very passionate, like, brief, week-long affair. Basically, this guy becomes addicted to Carrie in lieu of being addicted to alcohol. They probably shouldn't have dated because he wasn't finished with his 12-step program.
Yeah. This was unhealthy for both of them. And anything that ends with a man screaming outside your window, I think, unfortunately, it's an F.
Yeah. For sure. I agree. Oh boy. Now we have Dr. Bradley Migo. He is the quote-unquote good on paper guy who Carrie meets. He's got his own house in the Hamptons. I gotta be honest, personally, I find him to be very, like, cringy and boring, and someone who, even though I knew that they were, like, a decent option as far as, like, stability, I don't find him attractive.
It's hard for me to discount the fact that he has real estate in the Hamptons, because that's, like, a couple million.
I'm not saying I wouldn't date this man for at least a year.
Yeah. And he provided her a way out of crabs. So for that, at least I give him a B. I think he is cringy. I would not put him in A or S, but it's hard to, he has a house in the Hamptons.
He also was, like, genuinely seemed like a nice guy. So I feel like B.
As we're going into season 3, no one's in the A column yet.
Okay, season 3 is kicking off strong with Bill Kelly, played by John Slattery. He is running for comptroller. I didn't put this together. That is what Herbert is running for, and Just Like That. Seems like a nice guy at first, and then he does ask Carrie to pee on him, and when Carrie says no, he breaks up with her, and then, of course, Carrie anonymously writes about him liking to get peed on in her column as payback. I feel personally like Carrie kink-shamed him a little bit because she's sort of like, I don't know, she's like, I could dribble warm tea on your leg. Just like crazy thing. But he does fire back with breaking up with her because of her, like, profession, which is kind of icky. So I feel like I kind of want to throw him in C or D, personally.
Okay, I also want to put in his favor, we find out Carrie was not a registered voter until him. He gets her registered to vote, which gives me, like, a C.
I'm willing to bump him up for that. So I think putting him at B for turning on Carrie's civic engagement.
And I think he's one that has been top of my list that I want to see reappear in a Just Like That.
Maybe he's like the incumbent comptroller. Like, it seems it seems kind of obvious that that's what it should be. Like, maybe he will come back. Maybe he's running against Herbert.
I can't get too excited. That would be the most amazing payoff.
Moving right along, we have Sean. Sean is a character that this show did really dirty because this episode has not aged well. Sean is a bisexual man in his 20s that Carrie dates, and Carrie is very weird and offensive to him about his bisexuality, constantly questioning whether or not he actually is bisexual. We have the famous line that has aged horribly, which is that bisexuality is a layover on the way to Gay Town. They go ice skating. Overall, I think Sean seems like a really nice guy, and I feel like he could have opened Carrie's eyes to a lot of her internalized biases about sexuality.
She's a prude.
So I kind of want to put him in A, because I don't know if he's S tier because we didn't really get to know him super well.
Sean did the best that he could with working with, very close-minded material.
Let's put him in A. Sean is our first A tier guy. Well done, Sean.
Good job, Sean.
Now we have to do Aidan Shaw. This is where Aidan first appears. Aidan's first appearance, they meet at his furniture store when his dog Pete is running around, and they start dating and they fall in love.
I hate him so much.
I'm trying to keep an open mind, though, that this is first season Aidan.
Okay, here's my argument against that for season 3. He already is not accepting Carrie for who she is, and when he tells her he won't date her if she smokes. Now,
that's a good point.
Ultimately, we all know smoking is bad. It's the beginning of Aidan sort of trying to fit Carrie into this box of what he thinks his little old woman should be, and I just think it already set a bad tone. I think for their relationship, even before she cheats on him with Big, I just already was like, that's why she was looking for something else, I think, a bit, because it did feel like he was trying to fit her into a box.
I hesitate to give him more than a C.
Yeah.
Personally. Now we have one of my favorite cameos on Sex and the City, Keith Travers, played by Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. Personally, 2004 era Vince Vaughn was a huge crush for me. 2004, specifically Wedding Crashers, that was like peak Vince Vaughn crush. I don't know. I think that like also speaks to that era of the way that he would like talk to women, that I was like, yeah, you could be a little nasty to me, Vince Vaughn.
Be mean to me, Vince Vaughn, just a little bit, because he's funny and he's tall and he's handsome. In Sex and the City, he plays Keith Travers, who he pretends to be like a big wig, like producer type in LA, but turns out he is Carrie Fisher's personal assistant, even though he lied about who he is.
I think he was a good distraction. I love something for the plot that gives me a good story. And ultimately to say that you hook up with a guy and ultimately ends up being Carrie Fisher's house, for me, that's at least a B. That's a good story, great time, great oldies.
We're going to give Keith Travers a B. Woo! For sure. And as a Vince Vaughn character would say, B. That's a respectable grade. So we have Wade Adams now, also known as Power Lad, the man who owns the comic book store. They spend a fun time hanging out at his parents' gorgeous apartment. Carrie gets baked cookies, and then they get actually baked off of some weed that Wade has procured. And then at the end, Wade blames the marijuana on Carrie when his mom catches them. And then she takes it with her when she goes, because good for her. I feel like Wade was a fun diversion, even though he wasn't totally honest. He was very attractive. There was cannabis involved, which you know is going to influence me positively. So I'm feeling like C or above for Wade.
Yeah, I feel like a solid C. Hot Child in the City is one of my favorite episodes of Sex and the City. It's so fun.
Same.
I mean, and the end of her going, and I've taken the weed. It was like such a like iconic Carrie moment. A C for cannabis.
All right, now we have Jim, who is actually not really Carrie's love interest in the show as we're watching it. He is a former ex-boyfriend who briefly dates Miranda, a huge asshole. I feel like I'm putting him in F because Carrie knew he sucked before, and then he ended up sucking just as much.
He's an asshole. He's an F.
Okay, so we have gotten to season 4, and we were back with Aidan Shaw. Carrie and Aidan rekindle their romance. Aidan supposedly forgives her affair, but then treats her really badly. And then he eventually proposes to Carrie, which then, of course, causes them to break up. I feel like I want to move Aidan down to at least a D for his behavior in this season. I think Carrie was also in the wrong. They probably just never should have gotten back together. How do you feel?
Oh, same. And also remember that this is the first season where Carrie physically has physical reactions to Aidan. 1, she pukes when she sees the ring. 2, she gets hives trying on wedding dresses with Miranda. And also, he picks her an ugly ring that he should have known better. This is D behavior for douchebag.
For douchebag. All right. Now we have Paul Denai. He's only one episode. He is a photographer who Carrie meets when she does
Dolce & Gabbana, as played by the one, the only Alan Cummings. Murder.
Yes. Yes. Trot on over, darling. Trot. Me likey. So Paul Denai, he and Carrie just share a kiss because she's like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of your work. This is also the episode where Carrie has the unhinged statement that when she first moved to New York, she'd sometimes buy Vogue instead of dinner because it just fed her more. That's called an eating disorder, Carrie. That is called an eating disorder. He ends up photographing her face planting on the runway in her glittery Dolce & Gabbana undies. So he ends up being an asshole.
Yeah, that pretty quickly, I think, leads me to F territory for me. He's ultimately humiliating her and doesn't see the ramifications of his actions doing that and why that might be hurtful. So that feels like an F.
Paul Denai goes in F tier. Now we have Ray King. He is a jazz performer, has wild raging ADHD, and is constantly drumming on things and like cannot focus, but he gives Carrie the most powerful orgasm of her life And Carrie reveals in this episode that she usually can't have an orgasm like that unless she's in love, which Samantha rightly is like, you should get that looked at.
Yeah.
He does also serve to like make Big jealous while
Correct.
Carrie and Big are in this weird sort of like friend zone area. So for those reasons, I feel like I want to put him C or above.
I was gonna say A for him giving like an incredible orgasm for her. I think
I mean that is huge.
I think this is a big deal for Carrie to actually have sex for pleasure outside of a relationship.
I agree with that. I'm gonna, you know what? The big O gets a big A. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, we are now in season 5. We have Louis Leroy, who is a Navy sailor, very handsome. Carrie meets him during Fleet Week. They have a little one evening whirlwind.
You know, I felt like it was just such a sweet little New York moment. It's like so innocent. Kind of like it as a B. He was nice and gentlemanly.
Yeah. Let's give Louis Leroy a B. Woo! Okay, now we have one that's going to be hard for me, which is Jack Berger. I really had very strong positive feelings for Jack Berger when I first watched the show as a teenager because he's a writer and it's Ron Livingston, who I think is very cute in like a very writerly way. He's sort of like curmudgeon-y and sarcastic and witty. In reality, where we must live, he kind of sucked a lot.
He's not over his ex. So he goes out with Carrie and is not over his ex. And that already is like D and F behavior.
Once we get to season 6, he and Carrie's relationship gets rockier and he ends up dumping Carrie via Post-it and leaving in the middle of the night. So she wakes up to the Post-it, and then we have that iconic scene where she knocks the flowers off the table. And yeah, he sucks. Caroline! Say no more. We're gonna put him in F. Jack Berger, you mother. I love a charade, which is the episode that they finally get together in the end of season 5, is like one of my all-time favorite episodes. But read the Post-it and weep, he gets an F. Moving on, we have Willie Applegate, who is just a one-date wonder. He picks this lovely little garden restaurant, but then he gets self-conscious about having a sty on his eye. A pigeon lands on his head and he falls backwards in his chair.
I think a C feels right to me. Like, you know, it wasn't anything actually that was like bad about him. It wasn't a right fit.
So next on the list is Howie Halberstein, who is in town for Harry and Charlotte's wedding because he is Harry's best man. He is seemingly a nice Jewish boy, very funny. And then they have, as Carrie calls it, jackrabbit sex. It looked very, very, very upsetting. I feel like Howie has to be an F.
For sure. Especially if clearly he is not thinking about her pleasure at all. And then he has the gall of when she says it was terrible that actually, like, it's all her fault. This is a man that needs to be sent out to pastures, straight to F.
On to season 6, Alexander Petrovsky, also known as the Russian, played by Mikhail Baryshnikov. He is an artist. He is a little bit older than Carrie, and Carrie takes him on as a lover because he's rich and knows how to fuck and has a really, really nice penthouse apartment. He ends up being a real asshole, constantly is using the excuse of like, I told you this is who I am, like take it or leave it. I feel like he gets an F from me because it's just despicable behavior regardless of whether you think it's justified because you told someone that you're despicable.
Two massive things is that he forces her to not go to this lovely dinner when she runs into the cute 2 French booksellers who are big fans. Oh, you are Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Oh, we'd love to throw a dinner for you. And it's like this huge thing that like Carrie has this audience in France that like, what if she had stayed there long term, it would have been amazing to sort of see like what sort of career she would have had there. But he forces her to go to his thing and then he completely abandons her in that shot when he's holding her hand and leaves her and like walks away.
Yep.
And that he just never, I think, saw her for what her career was and who she was as a person. It was just only what Carrie could do for the Russian. But also, her friends never liked him.
Yeah, and that's always a bad sign. Also, he makes Steve feel weird for requesting a Billy Joel song on the piano, which...
Yeah, absolutely. We're a Billy Joel house.
So, sorry, the Russian gets an F from us. Now we have Jeremy, played by David Duchovny. This is a little Californication Sex and the City crossover moment. He is Carrie's ex-boyfriend from high school. This is like one of the times that we learn more about Carrie's past. They reunite because he's back in New York and she kisses him and she's like, oh, I remember what it was like to kiss him. Charlotte, of course, is like, you're gonna marry your ex-boyfriend from high school, and it seems great. And then we find out that he is actually living full-time in an inpatient program for his mental health at Juno Spears, which freaks Carrie out, and they decide to end things. This is a tough one because he actually seems really cool and chill and nice and handsome, and if a man has a mental health issue but he's actively working on it, that's pretty hot. So I feel like I want to give him like a B or above, actually.
Rewatching this episode recently, I did also feel the way that they're sort of handling the mental health piece of it is sort of like not aged well, much like the bisexual episode.
Yeah, for sure.
And the like discourse they sort of have around him being in an inpatient facility. So I agree. I think like a B makes sense to me. Honestly, I give an F for Carrie, like for how she treats it. But I give him a B for actually being proactive and going to a facility and taking care of himself.
I agree with that. Okay, so now that we have reached the end of the series, obviously we have to readdress Mr. Big because he ends up being Carrie's significant love interest at the end of the series. He comes to rescue her in Paris after... famously, the girls tell him, go get our girl. And they share a kiss on a bridge in Paris. And we find out that Mr. Big's real name is John because that's what's on her bedazzled flip phone at the end. And Carrie says, you know, the most significant, important, and challenging relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. And if you can find someone to love the you that you love, well, then that's just fabulous. And the reason I know it word for word is because I wrote it in the back of my high school diary.
I wish this was your senior quote.
I wish that too. I chose like a kind of weird generic Robin Williams one instead. But yeah, so Big definitely gets to move up from F for finally coming to his senses and realizing that Carrie's the one.
And also the fact that he knew to go to the girls after all of the years of heartbreak. This man humbles himself and knows he has to pay the piper. He's got to kiss the ring and go see the girls at the empty seat at lunch and let them know he really loves Carrie.
I hesitate to move him all the way up to S, but just because of all the...
I know.
all the bullshit he put Carrie through, but I'm willing to move him to A because of how things eventually turn out and because he ends up dying on a Peloton, so it's the least we can do.
And I'll say also, at this point, we didn't think there was going to be anything that was going to come after the series, so I was pretty content with when the series ended in 2004. I was like, I think this was a great ending. I love how Big finally rebounded. This was like how it should be, and it just what felt like really full circle for the two of them.
Okay, now that we have put Mr. Big in A for his behavior at the end of the original series, we're probably gonna have to move him again because in the first movie, he infamously abandons Carrie at their wedding. You can debate this because if he had been able to get in touch with Carrie prior to the wedding and Lily hadn't put Carrie's phone in Lily's cupcake purse.
And this is not the first time Lily will be a menace to Mr. Big. Let us remind you.
And then we have that famous scene where Charlotte screams no at him, which always makes me cry. It always makes me emotional because she just goes to bat for Carrie so hard. Carrie goes through like a transformative year.
And she has her Mexicoma.
Yes, her Mexicoma. Mr. Big's terrible behavior, I would say, puts him back down to at least a D because I feel like it was partially Carrie's fault, partially Miranda's fault, heavily Lily's fault. And he does redeem himself eventually by, you know, sending her all those love emails and whatnot. So
he does get her that closet. And that closet is... I would commit a lot of sins for that closet. It's hard for me to not.
Yeah. We're going to do C for closet. C for closet. Yeah, yes, for sure. Aidan Shaw fucking comes back in Abu Dhabi in the second movie and wreaks havoc, as he always does, because, you know, it is crazy that they're meeting each other across the world. Obviously, that they're running into each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to keep Aidan at a D for that, because that's, like, menace behavior. Like, don't invite Carrie to dinner. Yeah, it's crazy that you guys, like, both came to the same vacation spot, but also, like, you're both wealthy people and, like, people travel. Like...
No, and he's going to be moving down soon, so I'm fine to keep him at D.
Yeah, we're going to leave him there. And then, and just like that happens to all of us, and episode 1, Mr. Big gets killed off on the Peloton, and it's devastating and shocking and puts the series in a completely different direction than we were all imagining. Do we want to move Mr. Big based on that?
I'm trying to think. I feel like I could move him to a B, because I think ultimately I feel like they were in a pretty solid place. It was just, you know, again, Lily.
Now we have Peter, who is a very nice school teacher in his 50s, a fellow widower. He and Carrie go on a couple dates that don't end well. He seems like a really nice, really solid dude.
I think he was a solid A candidate.
And then we have Franklin, who is Carrie's podcast producer. Now, this guy was very disappointing to me, because when they start making out...
Honestly, that kiss was so hot. When season 1 ended, it had me really excited for season 2. I was like, okay, here we go. We're going to get Carrie Sex and the City 2.0. She's going to be single. We have a hot kiss. And then it's sort of just like fizzled. Yeah. So I give him like a B or an A.
Let's give him a B. Woo! Then we have George, who is an app developer who was biking on the street, and then like Carrie runs into him and he ends up breaking his wrist.
I was going to say a C, because at this point he's also probably in his 50s and he still doesn't know what work-life balance is. And that means ultimately you need to have an inner conversation with yourself and what that means. So I think a C.
I agree with that. We are coming up on the end here. Aidan Shaw has returned. I kind of want to move Aidan to F, because I'm just so fucking sick of him. And he has only gotten worse with time.
This is when he tells Carrie he has to go back to Virginia for 5 years because Wyatt gets in a car crash. And so Carrie has to put her life on hold for him. Also, he won't go back into her apartment because he's so haunted from his hangups with Carrie. Dudosaurus Rex. And for those reasons, he's an F. I wish there was a letter below F, because honestly, that's where I'm at with him.
I feel like Duncan and Carrie have like really good chemistry, and the fact that he is an established, successful author, he's got some quirks for sure, and he only lives in New York half the year. I feel good about this, and I feel like I kind of want to put him in A or B.
I think there's potential. You know, I do disagree with the fact that he only eats stew, but he can grow to other food groups soon, I hope.
All right, let's compromise, and we'll put him in A, because he has a lot of potential. He's on his way up to a possible S. And then our last love interest on the show is the city of New York, represented by a classic newsstand New York coffee cup that we see Carrie with many times in the show. And obviously, Carrie says it in the show many times, her greatest love really is the city of New York. So I feel like City of New York has to go into S class, personally.
For 100%, yeah. Like, at the end of the day, New York always has Carrie's back. No matter, like, the heartbreak or the love that Carrie's in, or when she's with the girls, whatever phase of life that she's in, New York is always going to be that for her. And it's New York. We love her.
Yeah. And so there you have it. We have tiered all of Carrie's love interests, and this is what we got. In S tier, we only have the new Yankee, Ben, and New York City.
New York.
Mr. Big has landed at B, which I feel like is correct. Aidan has landed at F, which is definitely correct.
Definitely correct.
If we could go lower, we would.
We would.
This feels right to me. I don't feel like anyone's not in the right spot.
Proud of Carrie that for the most part, it's like, if you looks like she did pretty well B and above.
It's kind of almost an even split, which that's really all anyone could hope for. If I ranked this with my own love interests, I think there would be quite a bit more C and below.
I and my therapist would have a lot of input in it, so.
And you've seen her more than once.
Yep, weekly.
So we hope you enjoyed this. We are planning on doing this with all of the core 4 women of Sex and the City, and maybe we'll expand also into the expanded women of the SATC universe. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree, or if there's anyone you feel like we left out. And otherwise, we will see you back in the main feed for another episode recap soon.
See you soon, everybody. Bye.